for this type of practice. All right, I'll lie down with you. And our focus for today's practice is going to be the core awareness of how we maneuver our pelvis in relationship to our rib cage. The head will not be involved in most of these movements. It'll be a lot of core awareness through our center. Can you hear me okay? All right. What I'll be asking you to do is to inhale and arch your back a little bit. That means you're putting more space between your ribs and your hips in the front. And then as you exhale, using your core muscles, you'll be drawing in between the rib cage and the pelvis, and you'll feel an opening and a lengthening in your low back. Now we'll come down to our back and do that. Hold your knees with your hands lightly. And as you inhale, begin to inhale and put a little more space between your pelvis, your pubic bone, and your sternum right here at the bottom of your rib cage, and feel your lower back arch. As you exhale, begin to tip your tailbone up. You're just shifting your pelvis here, the relationship of your pelvis to your ribs, and you're bringing your pelvis and your rib cage together in the front of your body. And as you inhale, you'll be bringing your pelvis and your rib cage together in the back of your body. Begin to exhale. Exhale is really important. Exhale, bring your pubic bone towards your sternum, pelvis a little closer to ribs in the front. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, a little tiny back bend. This would be equivalent to the cow in yoga. Exhale, a little tiny flexion. We call this a flexion when we C-curve the spine, equivalent to a bit of a cat. Two more. Breathing in, pulling apart in the front. Breathing out, bringing it together. And I'm just using my hands to show you what I'm doing with my spine. Inhaling, moving away in the front body, little back bend. Exhaling, pulling in. Take a moment to roll over onto your side, wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll your ankles and your wrists. Take a deep breath in and say, ah. Ah. Push up onto your hands and knees. Face your trainer. Let's put our elbows directly under our shoulders with our forearms on the cushion and our knees directly under our hips. Again, not involving the shoulders so much in this one, because the idea is that once we're moving toward an inversion, and once we get into that inversion, our shoulders aren't going to be moving too much. They'll be pretty stable. Our head won't be moving because it'll be pretty stable, but we'll be moving through here from the ribs to the pelvis and from the pelvis to the ribs in the front and in the back. Yeah, so we're kind of working through that with our breath, getting really familiar with that so that we can use that in a lot of different positions. Let's use it in this position. First, inhale and simply reach your chest forward, reach the crown of your head forward, reach your tailbone back, lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, pull up through your belly, feel the tip of your pelvis. You don't have to move your shoulders. So we're just working through the lower part of our spine. Now, as you inhale, lift your left leg up without arching your back, without going into a back bend, but keeping that lift through the belly that you just did. And as you exhale, put the knee down and pull up through your belly button. See that? Pull up through your belly button. Try to keep that as you lift your right leg up. Inhale. Pull up stronger through your belly button. Put your knee down. Exhale. You're doing great. Let's do that a couple more times. Left leg, inhale, keep the belly button lifted, keep the tailbone moving down and back. So we're not arching the back too much, put it down, exhale, pull the belly button up, lower your tail. And lift, breathing in, lower, breathing out. Try your inhale here and feel how your inhale lengthens your spine and spreads your rib cage. Good job. Exhale. Feel how everything pulls in three-dimensionally, front, back, and sides. One more time. Exhale. Stand up on your knees, give your shoulders a roll. Nod your head up and down. Turn your head side to side. Wiggle out your fingers and your arms. And then as you stand up, you can pull your trainer underneath of you and have a seat. Same thing here. Same thing we've been doing. I'm going to continue to do that same movement, but in different positions so we can kind of feel it in different positions. Now, if you notice, we have a flexed hip. When we just did that last minute movement, we had one flexed hip and one extended hip. No bend in the hip joint, bend in the hip joint. Okay? So with this flexed hip, let's practice moving the pelvis. Notice shoulders don't really move, head doesn't move, but we're moving our pelvis, tipping it back like it's a bowl and you're pouring water out of the back, tipping it forward like it's a bowl and you're pouring water out of the front. Let's do it with our breath. Inhale. Yeah, you got it. Pour water out of the front of your pelvis. You notice that space between your sternum and your pubic bone. And then exhale, sit up tall, but lift your pubic bone toward your sternum and bring your sternum toward your pubic bone. Notice how your lower back will flatten a little bit. It's like you're pouring water out of the back of that bowl. Inhale, tip the pelvis forward. Exhale, tip your pelvis back a little bit and feel that strong three-dimensional inward movement of your core. Inhale, forward. Exhale back, relax your shoulders. Wow, a beautiful posture. Good job, one more time. So easy for teachers to get burdened. You've done a good job taking care of your spine. Exhale back. All right, now we're up in ante here. Coming into a plank. Put your trainer in front. And we'll start on our hands. We're stabilizing our shoulders directly over our wrists. Stabilizing those shoulders directly over the wrists. Knees down. We'll start with knees down. Feel the long line from the crown of your head back to your tail, maybe to your knees. So we're taking out this. We're taking out this bend. Taking out the bend in the hips. That's an extension of the hips. Let's do that little pelvic tilt there. Inhale, move the tail back, arch the back. You'll feel a little bend in your hip joint. Exhale, take that bend out of your hip joint. Pull your pubic bone up. Same thing, that same pelvis tipping backward. Pelvis tipping forward, pelvis tipping backward. Inhale, pelvis tips forward. Front body is longer. Exhale, pelvis tips back. Front body gets stronger. Inhale, pelvis tips forward. Exhale, pelvis tips back. Do two more of those. Breathing in. The breath is so important. If you start noticing how your breath can move you, you breathe first and then move, you'll have a completely transformed practice. All right. Shake out your wrists, cross your body. It's good to cross the body, go out and in. Loosen everything up. See if we can take that plank to a forearm plank on our feet. Forearms on the cushion. Fronts of the feet on the ground. Shoulders right over our elbows. And here, same thing. Here, the hard part is to pour the water out of the back of the pelvis and lower your hips. You're lowering your hips, lowering but pouring the water, lifting your belly button, keeping your knees straight. Long line, tail to crown. Take a break whenever you need to. It's inhale, little arch in the back, lift your butt up. Exhale, pull it underneath and connect that front body. Inhale, lift your butt up a little bit. Exhale, press back through your heels, pull your pubic bone up towards your chest in the front body. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, forward. Come down to your knees, push down into your trainer, and pop up to your feet, however it feels good to you. Sit back into a chair. Let's do it here. Tip up, back bend. Now, without moving your ribs, kind of keeping your ribs neutral, or sorry, I said that the opposite of what I wanted to say. We're hinging at the hip joint, so we're pouring the water forward out of the pelvis, but we're drawing the rib cage in towards the pubic bone here. Instead of tucking tail, we're drawing ribs in. Inhale, move your ribs away, push your hips back, lower them down, put your butt back. Back. Yep, there it is. And then instead of tucking the tail under, just pull your ribs in. Inhale, lift your rib cage. Keep your butt back. So now you feel that string that pulls the pubic bone and the ribs together, the sternum together, but it's not moving the pelvis, it's just moving that rib cage. And we need to learn how to move the rib cage and the hips, or either or. Let's stand up and shake it out again. Oh. Woo, woo, woo. I feel alive. How about you? Energized. Yeah, I got some breath moving. Back to standing. We kind of started here. Let's come back. Because if I get into a feet up asana, it is an upside down mountain pose. How do I learn how to do a mountain pose aligning? Well, I can afford to be out of alignment a lot more when I'm on my feet than I can when I'm on my shoulders upside down. And when I'm right side up, it's so familiar. You know, everything's so familiar how I move things. But when I turn myself upside down, all of a sudden, everything gets backwards. So if we start to acquaint ourselves with these things right side up, then when we go upside down, we're like, oh yeah, it's that same thing, but I'm upside down. And there's a couple things that happen when we try to get vertical with our feet up. The one is we need to have, really important to have our weight on the tops of our shoulders, not the fronts of our shoulders, and not the backs of our shoulders. And I'm not saying we never do front or back, because we do, but if we're looking for vertical, it makes sense that the weight's going to be right on top. So you can put your hands up there, and you can feel that if you put the weight more into the front of your upper trapezius muscle or towards your collarbones, that's going to put you into a back bend very quickly. If you put your weight onto the backs of your upper trapezius muscles, that will probably put you into more of a flexion or just get you a little bit out of vertical alignment if you're looking for vertical alignment. Sharon, is that something you might be looking forward to doing, is the vertical? Okay. She's like, I'm open. Okay, cool. All right. Now, let's assume that we have, you can pick up your trainer and you can put it right there on the tops of your shoulders. Let's assume that you have your trainer right here on your upper trapezius. It's not tipping forward. My body's not tipping forward or back. The trainer's standing on the ceiling. And we get into a tuck position. So here's our tuck position. If I really pull my knees into my chest, so on your feet, you're on your feet and your knees are into your chest, you're in a little squat here. Is that working for your ankles and your knees? Are you okay there? Yeah, it's right. Go up a little higher. All right, round your back. We can do this on the trainer and pull a knee into a chest. We can do this, but then we'll be on the backs of the shoulders. If we want to start bringing our weight to the tops of our shoulders, we'll be moving our hips back a little bit like a chair pose with our knees bent. Now start connecting, go into that chair pose and start connecting with those same muscles you did for that pelvic tilt. Remember? Forward and back. Yes. Now straighten your legs. Breathe in, take a little back bend. Exhale, connect the front body. But when you connect the front body, what will happen is your legs will go forward when you connect that front body. So now connect into your butt to move your thigh bone back a little bit. These are like millimeter adjustments. These are like 1/8 of an inch, teeny tiny adjustments, pulling your pubic bone toward your sternum and drawing down and out through your heels by moving your thigh bones backward just a little bit. So you kind of feel like this. You have a bowl of the pelvis, and you're moving that bowl into more of a neutral right on top of your thigh bones. Do you feel that? It's not tipping forward. It's not really tipping back, but it's kind of in neutral. You're looking amazing. Now with your rib cage is also sitting in neutral right on top of that pelvic bowl. Again, you're looking amazing. Are you ready to do that upside down? All right, let me demo this entrance for you, and then I will watch you do it and give you some pointers. Just some encouragement and some validation, maybe some helpful hints if it feels good to you. We'll come onto our knees, put our shoulders in, press down. It's important to press down into your hands, elbows right above your wrists. Lift up through your belly to lift your knees. Walk your feet in. Now, here it's starting to move weight onto the tops of my shoulders, off of the fronts of my shoulders. But I'm also pushing down through my hands, lifting through belly, and picking up heels. And I'll do that a few times with one leg and a few times with the other leg, and feel that knee pull in really tight, and then I can push off and come into a little ball. We're going to start here on the backs of our shoulders, and we'll slowly move onto the tops of our shoulders, where we'll start to do cat, cow, pelvic tips, and then we'll take our legs up, and again we'll do pelvic tilting again, like we did in all those other positions. But this time, it'll be upside down. Are you ready?